Thanks for tuning in once again. I'm Ishmael Sistrunk with the St. Louis American and STLAmerican.com, here with Palmer Alexander III, our Rams Roundup columnist. Palmer, got an interesting time in St. Louis Rams football, the draft. So Palmer, again, we talked about St. Louis Rams haven't made the playoffs in quite a while, but they have been doing a pretty good job in the draft in recent years. They've built up basically the best defensive line in football, or one of the best. They've gotten Trey Mason here recently in the backfield. They've upgraded their wide receivers, have gotten some good talent in recent years. What are you looking for the Rams to do on Thursday when it comes to the NFL draft?
Well, I'm looking for them to be able to add to what they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They still have a lot of gaping holes on the offensive line. They still don't have a right tackle. There's still some decisions to be made on who they want to play at the center position. And, in this first round, and with the Rams picking, at the 10th spot, I mean, they're in a position to draft whomever they please. And if they're practical, they draft for that line, because you're going to need a strong, solid line for any quarterback to play in front of. But you also can't discount the fact they need a playmaker at the receiver position. They signed Kenny Brett to a 2-year extension. Brian Quick is in the last year of his contract. This may be the year where you just determine what you got in Tavon Austin, because this will be his third season. Stedman Bailey flashed moments of brilliance last season when he got more opportunities to play. We're going to see, how he make adjustments, because the league is going to make adjustments to him. So those are those things that come to mind when I'm thinking about this first round of this draft, and what the Rams need and what's going to help them continue their trek going up.
Okay, so obviously you talked a lot about the receivers that we have. And again, their receiver play has been improving. They still don't have that elite guy. So is it a possibility that they will take one of the top wide receivers on the board at that 10th spot, or do you think it's more likely that they'll take another lineman? And, when I talk to people about the Rams, one thing that I hear is, why are they always drafting linemen? Whether it's offensive or defensive, it seems like, they often are drafting tackles, especially offensive and defensive tackles. So some people get tired of that, but is that position important enough to where you need to draft that person if they're there?
I think you have to look at the coach. And sometimes when you look at the coach and you look at his pattern of behavior and what is his likes and what is his fancies. You look at the pick of Aaron Donald. That was a mild surprise, but look at the results that they got out of it. And also keep in mind, too, that Chris Long is 30. He's 30 years old. He's entering his 7th year in the league. Eugene Sims and William Hayes, they're super subs. They're in the last years of their contracts as well. So he likes keeping that front four on defense as solid as possible. So, again, you really couldn't rule out, not Shane Ray anymore, because I thought that was a possibility. But I think if they stay, at 10 and maybe move down to 12 or 13, they may take Danny Shelton, a defensive tackle out of the University of Washington, to keep that front four solid, because as we've seen, he's pretty biased when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, if his offensive line was as strong as his defensive line, then maybe he would be maybe the Rams would be more successful in executing that power running style that he wants to implement.
Okay, but I know they want to implement something with the running style, and they've actually made some gains in that area. But you brought in Nick Foles. You have a new toy to play with, even though he's in the last year of his contract. Is it more important to buy him protection or to buy him weapons?
I would say protection, because listen, he's not the most mobile quarterback either. He needs time to be able to make throws downfield. I believe that, one, get that line solid, but still don't turn your head also on these premier receivers. I think if you can be able to get an Amari Cooper or Kevin White in the first round, you take them, and then you look, to add a couple of pieces towards that line. But if you do that, I think that you may look to do that maybe in the third, maybe in the fourth round. I think in the second round, I think the Rams have to take a quarterback. They have to, and that guy I think is Bryce Petty. I know they talked up Nick Hundley rather, at UCLA, and he's a good quarterback. But it's just something about Bryce Petty. I think he's more ideal for what the Rams may want to do. He can make all of the throws. He's great at pushing the ball down the field. He has some good accuracy, and he doesn't have all the hype that Mariota and Winston have. But I believe that he's one of those guys that can play in the league for a long time.
All right, so what do you think will be the Rams' biggest surprise in this draft? They always seem to do a pick or two that surprises people. What type of move do you think that would be?
I think a move that will surprise a lot of people if they trade up into the top 5 of the draft. That'll be a big surprise because you looking at how this team is made up, but then you have to also factor in that they have a lot of free agents, and a lot of those free agents are 2012 draftees. Tremaine Johnson and Janoris Jenkins, Greg Zuerlein. So all those guys are potential free agents to be. Rodney McLeod. So that's what makes this draft even more important than the one from the year prior, because a lot of those guys in 2012 either they're going to re-sign them or they're going to let them hit the streets.
All right. So if you had to pick, let's say 3 players that Palmer wants the Rams. If the Rams are looking at this right now and they're saying, hey, we need to see who Palmer wants us to get because we got to keep Palmer happy. Palmer's hard on us sometimes when we lose. We want to keep Palmer happy. So what 3 guys that, obviously don't say Winston, Mariota, and, guys like that. But 3 guys who you think the Rams could reasonably expect to get that you think they should?
Well, I believe that they can get a guy like Eric Flowers, tackle that plays in Miami. If they trade down T.J. Cummins, I do like him, and I do like Kevin White. So those are those 3 guys in the first round. And if they pick any one of those 3 guys, I think that's a great move for this team. I would be, and listen, even the cornerback out of Michigan State, Trey Wayne, I believe is his name. And listen, that'll be a great addition too, because you can never have enough guys for the Rams secondary. You look at how good that E.J. Gaines played, and then you saw some signs out of Marcus Roberson. Again, you got 2 guys like Tremaine Johnson and Janoris Jenkins in last year, the contracts. If you can add another solid guy like the Michigan State Trey Wayne, like I just mentioned, I think they hit a home run.
Now, you talked about Shane Ray earlier. He has an injury, toe injury, supposed to be out for a while. How much do you think that's going to affect his draft stock? Will he fall far, or because most of his missed time is going to be in the off season, do you think he'll still go pretty high?
I think he may fall. I don't know if he'll fall out of the first round, but I think his draft status will fall. I mean, if he has some character flaws, you could see him dropping maybe, to a 4th round, but I don't really see that happening.